Welcome to the finals of GP Damascus, and we're waiting for or I guess our players to start the match. Okay, and yep, game has started. So it's going to be Mono Redburn versus Storm, and
Burn versus Storm.
I think I've already made this, or Purplemurasaki made this comment before, but it's almost like a repeat of GP Foxtober because either ways, either Purplemurasaki gets second place or Storm manages to beat Burn.
Oh,
So,
yeah. So it's a fun little repeat.
Are you in the game yet?
I am not. There's a lot of things happening all at once. I'm hunting these people down.
Just like go to account and search for Purplemurasaki or something.
That's what I did and nothing happened, so I'm...
Oh, that's...
I am confused.
Are you in the right server?
I hope to be. I'm in all of them.
Well, either way, InfinityChef starts off by playing a mountain and then playing Bash Companion. And looking at both players' hands... Oh, okay, so InfinityChef didn't actually hard mulligan for the RickyRister Dissident, which is interesting.
Interesting. That is very interesting. I'm curious what the line of reasoning is behind not mulliganing for the Storm counter in their playset. That is an interesting decision. Yeah. Curious to see if it will pan out in favor of Burn or in favor of Storm.
So Purplemurasaki is going to start off by, or no, they turn one to consult ancient knowledge to draw 2 cards.
That makes sense. Keep some cards in your hand early game, build up to the big Storm turn. Makes sense you want to start off with a cheap draw engine.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to screen share if you can't get in, so...
Universe is failing me, so I will be here.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting pair of hands back and forth, I think, from both players.
Yeah, I think both players got pretty good hands, too, because InfinityChef... What's Purplemurasaki waiting for? Oh, they're thinking about what to discard to hand sides, I think.
Oh.
So, I mean, I think the game's pretty straightforward from InfinityChef's point of view. It's just play stuff and hope that Purplemurasaki doesn't combo off before they die.
The game plan is very much seemingly linear from Infinity's point of view, just trying to outburn Purple before they can get their Storm turn.
But on Purple's side, it's going to be a lot harder. Oh well, okay. No mercy, just throw out the burn spells.
Absolutely no mercy.
Is Purplemurasaki dead next turn? I don't think they are, unless if they...
I don't see a line for Purple to die next turn unless InfinityChef draws something really nuts.
I don't think it's actually possible because Burn basically maxes out at 3 damage per card. So even if they draw something, I think...
Yeah, even then, best case scenario can bring Purple down to 1.
Yeah.
1 very infamously not 0 in Magic.
Oh, so Purplemurasaki seems to be getting their tokens ready, so they're probably planning on playing Leap Down Sizzle Mage this turn, which makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So the question is, what are they ritualing into in their hands?
They have Flapple Artisan, which they can ritual out, and then after that they can play Flapple Artisan and then ritual for 1 mana, and then ritual again for 1 mana. Oh, that's
true.
I'm not sure how much mana Wait, is that enough for Infuse? That might be enough for Infuse.
Oh, he might actually get there, I think. We'll have to see if it's enough.
It might. Oh, it is, because they can copy, they can copy Scintillate with Flapple Artisan's tail.
So they have enough to get there.
Well, they get Infused Apparatus, which, like, this isn't like the old Infused decks where you play Infuse and you win. Well, it is sort of like the old Infused decks, as in you get to play 2 more rituals and another Consult Ancient Knowledge, and I guess you rest the Banished Companion, which doesn't actually do anything, but you draw a card from that. Yeah,
does give him a card. Murasaki might need that card.
Okay, so seems like Purplemurasaki has infused out of their copies. Or have they done that yet?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're past the infuse point. We've got all these copies that are about to happen.
I mean, hopefully Purplemurasaki remembers that the opponent draws first with Consult. Because during GP Foxtober, the infused clear's got a bunch of game rule violations for not paying the additional costs of their infused spells properly.
Don't want a repeat of that. You do not want a repeat of game rules violations, that's for certain.
And
1-2 gives them a second flatboat and another land.
well, I guess you hope to hit something off the monkey shines.
That would be my guess, because we're at not nearly enough spells to go to lethal with Unleash the Dragon yet.
Well, they're gonna play the second flatboat first. And I guess they can they can just copy Unleash the Dragon with flatboat, right? And that's lethal, I think.
Oh, that is?
Yeah.
Yep, that's...
Unleash the Dragon
Ooh.
notably doesn't actually use Storm, so you can actually copy it to double the damage, unlike Grape Shot. And that matters a lot in this deck because you have those flatboat artisans acting as Goblin Electromancers that also let you copy spells.
Yep. Game 1 in the books, going to Storm.
Is that turn 2 win?
I think that was. Yeah, second turn win. That's amazing.
First turn 2, Purplemurasaki has gotten this GP. Wow, that's really good for Storm right now.
What a way to start the finals, getting a turn 2 Storm kill when you haven't been able to do it on 2 in the whole of Damascus at this point. I'm very curious what the sideboard plan is on both decks here.
Well, looking at InfinityChef's sideboard, they have 3 Rage of the Ravaged. I think that's all we need to know.
I think that's all we need.
And
3 more copies of basically Rikiri Descent, just cost an extra mana and on an enchantment.
And Purplemurasaki has 4 Fiery Ragers and 4 Nature's Claims. They're probably bringing the 4 Fiery Ragers to deal with the Dissidents, but I'm not sure how many copies of Nature's Claim they want to bring in to deal with Rage of the Ravaged. Because
it does bring up an interesting decision, because on the assumption that InfinityChef brings in all 3 copies of Rage of the Ravaged, that's only 3 hits in the entire deck for Nature's Claim. Yeah. So I'm very curious how many copies you board in, especially going into game 2.
And also, they also have 2 copies of Rest in main deck, so like, even if the opponent lands Rage of the Ravaged, if Purplemurasaki can go off that turn, they can just rest the Rage and then go off. But the problem is that
very true.
If they can't go off that turn, then they can't exactly afford to rest it. Mm-hmm. And then they can't really do combo-y stuff, or at least card draw-y stuff. So, seems like InfinityChef has a hand with Rikiri Distant, but 1 land. I think they still keep this, though, because they have all the other 1-drops.
Yeah, I think if I'm InfinityChef in this example, I'm going to keep this, cross my fingers that I draw a land off the top to slam that Descendant on turn 2. Purple going into the tank.
Well, this is a pretty interesting hand, because on one hand, you don't have any rituals. You just have 2 Flatboat Artisans. But on the other hand, Flatboat Artisans actually do block pretty well against InfinityChef's deck.
1/3s are notorious burn problems.
Yeah, and somehow this one's also a Goblin Electromancer that lets you copy a spell.
Yep. Flatboat Artisan is very fun. I got to play a couple of copies in a deck that I'm brewing post the new sets coming out next week.
Right.
With these guys. So really exciting to see just the sheer upper limits of a Goblin Electromancer that also can copy things.
So InfinityChef mulligans to 6 and draws a hand that has 3 lands plus a Rikiri Dissident, and they keep this.
I think this makes sense to keep, because even at 6, you still got enough lands for the Dissident on curve, and you've got a 1-drop in hand in the form of either Companion or just choosing to give Murasaki an extra card with the Fiery Burst.
They're not going to do that. But Purplemurasaki also mulligans and keeps 6. I think this hand's a lot worse than their previous hand. Well, maybe.
Yeah, this is definitely worse than their 7. If they keep this, what do they bottom? Interesting.
They have rituals. They can bottom lands.
They can bottom lands. That is very true.
So
interesting choice at least from my perspective, interesting choice that they chose to bottom the red-green dual land.
Well,
although they don't have any Nature's Claims in the starting hand, so it makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, and they can always just fetch it later if they really want to. Or
that
just
is very true.
Nebula for green or something. I think Purplemurasaki really just doesn't want to play green sources out if they don't have to. Oh, they draw Flatboat Artisans anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, they get to go off on turn 2
just like how the Storm deck probably drew it up.
So the next turn they get to Ritual, Flatboat Artisan, double Ritual again, and then it'll be a repeat of last game, hopefully, for Purplemurasaki, I guess. So yeah, Monkey Shines, I guess they look for another Infuse or something.
That's my guess.
Oh, they bin 2 cards and get into the ritual. So the
Using
Recurridescence coming down next turn is going to be a huge problem because Purplemurasaki doesn't have any way to deal with it in hand. I think this might just be a lost game for Purplemurasaki if they can't top deck a burn spell here.
I very much agree.
Oof.
InfinityChef can very easily tie this game up without a burn spell to handle either of the problems.
So what? Purplemurasaki goes Ritual into Flatboat, into Ritual, into Monkey Shines, and then hope to find a Fire Eraser or something.
I think that's the best bet that Murasaki's got in order to get themselves back into this match.
Yeah. If they don't get it, InfinityChef can just Fire Burst the Flatboat Arsen next turn. I think the game's pretty wrapped up by then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Purplemurasaki not willing to take extra damage off Nebula, so just Nebula on red.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't play out your green sources until you actually have the green spells in hand. Especially since these scintillates can ritual for any color.
Yeah. Although I don't think Purplemurasaki really wants to ritual for green either. They only done it once so far in the GP, and that's only when they were already winning and they needed green for Conjure Realities to fetch and Unleash the Dragon.
That is very fair.
Okay, so yeah, Flatboat Arsen.
Artisan coming down.
Wait, they can't. They need to ritual twice because they need both red and blue, so they have to take some more damage from Recurridescent.
Oh, that is. Does that change the math at all from Murasaki's end?
I don't think so. Like, I think they copy Scintillate here. No, they're not going to copy
That makes
Scintillate.
a lot of sense.
Right, because they'd rather kill Recurridescent first. Okay, and here we go. Fire Eraser or Bust.
Fire Eraser or Bust. Are we going to get there?
Actually, Rest could work. Well, no, because you need more card draw after that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because even if you get Fire Eraser, then you still have nothing else to do with your mana. Oh, Tongue Twister. Well, maybe if you can't find Fire Eraser in your top 2, maybe you can find it in your top 5 or 6 or 7 if that's what Purplesaki's thinking about doing.
Murasaki currently at 6, seeing if possibly going. They've got 4 mana floating, so possibly going. Did they cast the Scintillate first? Okay.
Yeah, of course, because you're playing on Tongue Twistering afterwards. And the question is if they copy it, and they do.
Choosing to copy, so they're going to get 6 mana in some form or fashion.
Well, so I mean, like, it doesn't look that too bad because so Purplemurasaki Tongue Twisters for 8, I guess, and if any Fire Erasers or Rest are in the top 8 cards of the deck, they kill Recurridescent and get to continue going off.
There is a chance, if the storm count is correct on board, there is a chance that if they rip exactly Unleash the Dragon from this, then they'll have exactly 16 damage plus a copy.
They already used their copy
16 damage with a copy.
On Ritual.
Oh, you're right, they did.
But they can still just play another... No, they can't. Okay, there's Fire Erasure, and there's Infuse the Apparatus, but nothing to hit with it. Okay, I think Purplemurasaki fizzles this turn.
Yep, I think we got a fizzle.
And that's game, I think, too, because InfinityChef has Fire Burst in hand.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play Leaf Down Sizzle Mage first.
They're going to keep going. Maybe they have... I don't see a line. They might be able to do this from 1.
No, they're just conceding in the most stormy way possible.
Oh. Yes, of course. The going out on my own terms. Oh, game 2 for InfinityChef.
Yeah. That Infuse is so sad. I agree.
The saddest Infuse. Oh, man.
Not going to complain and get another turn 2. Yeah. Well, the thing is, Purplemurasaki wouldn't have gotten a turn 3 either.
Really wouldn't have.
So now Purplemusaki's on the play for the last game, which is a good thing for them because...
Very good thing for a Storm deck to go on the play.
Maybe they get turn 2 again.
There is a chance. Do either decks, do you think, make sideboard changes at this point between game 2 and 3?
For Burn, I don't think so because maybe Flaming Point Technique, but probably not. But for Purplemurasaki, maybe because they're on the play now, so they need to worry less about Recurridescent. They might even board out all their Nature's Claims because Rage of the Ravage is coming down on turn 3, and if they win before that, then they don't have to worry about it.
Do you think Murasaki boards in Fear Flesh at all for this? because they've got a pair of them in their sideboard.
I feel like Seer Flesh might actually just be too slow.
Yeah, I can see that. Too slow against all the varying threats Burn Deck's got to offer. And look at opening hands here for game 3.
I mean,
I do see a possible turn 3 Rage if InfinityChef lives that long.
I think Purplemurasaki. Oh, they mulligan, and
Murasaki going to mulligan.
okay, that's a really good hand. They just bomb Unleash the Dragon here, and then they have everything they need, except a way to deal with Rage of the Ravaged.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it matters at this
missing
point.
the all-important Rage removal.
Well, no, if they win before Rage comes down, then it doesn't matter, and they bomb Unleash the Dragon.
That is very true.
Actually, something else that's notable is that technically Unleash Dragon can be used as creature removal if you're that desperate.
Yeah, that can hit any target, not just the face. Have you ever seen an Unleash the Dragon hit a creature and not just go to the face for lethal?
Not in this deck, but in previous infused decks, yes. And also, it's extremely sad when that happens because that probably means that your opponent has a hate bear out and you had to remove it. Or no, it doesn't even work that well against hate bears because it makes everything cost more. But I remember using Unleash the Dragon on Locust Sentry before.
Ooh.
Which the guy that makes everything cost 1 more.
Yeah, does not feel good.
Ooh, Sugenja Sanctuary. So does Purplemurasaki play Flapple Artisan out and let it get removed? Or are they just going to hold it so that next turn they can flap out plus Ritual?
That is an interesting sort of decision. It's a matter of, do they want to risk? Do they want to show their hand a little early by playing the Artisan now? No, they're going to pass.
Well, yeah, because they want Artisan to get killed by a Scorch or a Fiery Burst.
That is very true. Yep. They don't want to lose the flat boats before the storm turn.
So now Purplemurasaki gets to choose whether they want to fire a Rage or end of turn, and they don't do that.
I'm curious what the thought philosophy is behind not razuring end of turn there.
They want to save it for Dissident, I guess.
That would be my guess. Save it for right now, doing a possible look-see turn here with the Monkey Shines.
Okay, they draw low studies. Oh, they can low studies, flap out low studies. But InfinityChef is holding up Fire Burst, which is an instant and will kill Flapple Artisan. And like that actually is a big problem for Purplemurasaki.
That would be a very devastating hit for Murasaki if that Artisan goes down in the middle of the storm turn. They
just pass. Like they're really hard. They're hard playing around Fire Burst here. So now
we come back.
The InfinityChef has to tap out for Rage of the Ravaged. And if they do, then Purplemurasaki gets to try to go off, and they get a decent amount of chances to try to find a rest or something.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to play Rage of the Ravaged.
No, my guess is they're going to keep holding up that Fiery Burst.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. That's still going to be a problem for Purplemurasaki. So are they like, they're going to fire Eraser here, right? Because they kind of have to, and also InfinityChef doesn't have mana to play Rickyri Distant now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they play a land this turn?
I believe they have played a land this turn.
Okay, yeah, so Fire Eraser is pretty safe right now.
Just a matter of going to full swing.
Okay, Purplemurasaki is definitely using Fire Erasure here, right? On Enraptured Countess, because it makes no sense to not do that.
Yeah, it makes no sense not to take care of it. Although, interesting that Murasaki's going into the tank a little bit and thinking about things.
Maybe they're just thinking about what to do next turn, because even with obvious decisions, I feel like they always think 1 turn ahead before making any obvious plays.
That makes a lot of sense. When you're piloting a storm deck, you basically have to constantly be playing 4-dimensional chess.
Well,
in order to make sure they are going to cast
not on Enraptured Countess, on Banished Companion. That's a really...
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm very curious what Murasaki's thinking here with erasuring the Banished Companion instead of the Countess.
Maybe they think InfinityChef doesn't have any more spells, but Enraptured Countess just brings back a spell anyway, so it's swinging in as a 3/3.
Interesting couple of decisions coming from Purplemurasaki here. I'm very curious what this turn is going to look like.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that they're going to Ritual, and then play Flatbolt and then try to ritual, and then that way they're fine even if Flatbolt gets killed in response because they can copy one of the rituals, and then after that they can grasp for understanding, which wait, that doesn't really help, or it's not that good for them because now Burn gets to draw a hand of 7 too.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're playing out Flatbolt Artisan first. Oh.
Playing the Artisan first. This makes sense in theory.
Well, there goes the Artisan.
Try and InfinityChef thinking here.
I mean, surely you kill Artisan in response here, right? Like
that would be my thought, is pay the life to burst the Artisan. Because right now, Murasaki's out of mana to double up the ritual here.
Yeah.
So
actually, I do find it strange how they didn't load studies first so that they could have doubled the ritual. But maybe this line actually makes more mana in the long run. Or maybe they're just hedging that InfinityChef doesn't have Fire Burst because they lose if InfinityChef does, or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if they went for low studies first and then play a land and then play Flatbolt Artisan, then what? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So Flatbolt, so like they go on to 3, they play a ritual, go on to 2, and then copy it. So they go on to 0, and then they get 6 mana from that. Would that have been better than doing whatever this thing is?
Well, let's see. If you're Murasaki and you're assuming that they don't have the burst, then this is 3, and then another 3, which you can spend 2 to copy, so you'd effectively be up 1 more mana.
Oh, nice. They drew another ritual.
Drew another ritual, which is nice, but the burst will kill the Flatbolt Artisan.
Can they still win from here? So they ritual, they can grasp with 1 mana remaining, or 2 mana remaining, because they still have a land play. So, like, if they grasp...
Do they get there with grasp of 2 mana remaining? They probably do with how many rituals they've got, right?
No, you need more than just rituals. You need 2 rituals at least.
2 rituals to dig yourself back out of it, even after grasping with 2 mana left.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So right now they also have 6 mana total, so I guess doing the Flatbolt or ritual into Flatbolt thing wouldn't have mattered that much here. No, it would have, because they would have 7 mana right now if they did ritual, Flatbolt, copy ritual. But then they wouldn't have a land play remaining, and they had to ping themselves from the land.
Yeah. So maybe they're waiting to grasp for a land that doesn't hurt them a little more, I assume is what's happening here.
I guess. Still feel like playing around Fireburst would have been better.
Yeah, I agree with that. InfinityChef will be making a copy of Grasp for Understanding.
Well, at least Purplemurasaki knows that they can't afford to not win this turn. Actually, if they draw a Fireburst, they can like kill Enraptured Countess, and then... No, wait, that doesn't work. We haven't seen the 7 cards that InfinityChef's about to flip off the top yet.
That is true. We haven't seen either set of 7 yet. So this could be very interesting.
Okay, there you go. They've started flipping.
Scorch, Basat Charm, a Mountain, a Dissident, another pair of lands. Ooh. Not the greatest set of 7 from InfinityChef. And
no, that's not enough.
A very good send. Or do they not get there? Because they've got the Scintillate.
Well, yeah, but...
I don't think they've gotten the Ritual.
No, they have a land play plus a ritual, so they have 3 mana now. But like that doesn't really help them.
No.
I think they've lost. Maybe they can consult into something. So what, they land play ritual for blue, play... No, wait, then they're locked out of ritual mana, so yeah, I think they just lose.
Wow.
So what the play or the ritual before Flatbolt play have helped them here? I think it might have, just because they would be at 7 mana right now, so then they would go down to 3 here, which would have been enough to... Well, no, that means they have to use their land play, so I guess they'll be at the same amount or something.
Yeah, it's very similar sort of circumstances, just multiple lines of getting there. Scintillating for red.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
And GG.
Man, this is like... How long has it been since Burn has won a GP?
God, it's probably been a long while since Burns won something, but that was an exciting final.
Yeah. And somehow InfinityChef managed to win this game without playing any of their combo hate cards.
Yeah,
because
which is like the only time we saw one was, I believe we saw a Dissident game 2.
I mean, Dissident Game
but
2 definitely won the game.
yes, I very much agree.
Although Game 2 could easily have ended any other way if Purplemurasaki got a better draw off the Tongue Twister.
Mm-hmm. From a turn 2 storm kill to dying to burn in the same match.
Burn is just
What
stupid fast.
an exciting final.
So anyways, it seems like the reign of Purplemurasaki decks winning a bunch of GPs in a row has finally ended.
The streak is over thanks to Mono Red Burn piloted by InfinityChef.
Yep. And that's the GP.
What an exciting GP final this has been.
Okay, time for the post-game interviews, I guess. So, yeah. Anyway, so game 1 was a pretty big stomp, I guess. Wait, let me... Okay.
Yeah, I completely looked out game 1.
Okay.
Turn 2 storm kill. First time you had done it all GP.
Yeah. So I guess you're...
Yeah, so
I'm surprised that's the first time you've done it all GP. It looked kind of consistent, I guess.
well, the turn 2 needed 2 lands, 3 rituals, a flat boat, and my 1 of infuse.
Oh.
And then on top of that, I needed consults in graveyard.
Because you need the infuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I needed the consult in the graveyard, and then because I was on the draw, the consult let me discard the rest. So even after getting the turn 3 infuse, they didn't actually have a way to kill you. So I needed for those 3 draws from the rest and the consult to draw me into a way to continue the combo. Or in the case of Flatboat, that wasn't just good enough. But Flatboat wasn't actually good enough, but I didn't have my 1 of infuse in the hand from the so.
So it seems like the infuse name isn't actually that accurate. I mean, I guess it's technically almost infuseless, but it seems like infuse was actually clutch that game. So yeah, and you were considering cutting infuse from the deck, right? At least some time along the construction.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was always gonna end up on 1, but earlier builds had like 2 or 3.
Right.
But it's just really hard to get to mana. And it did kind of punish me in the game too, because that was one of my 3 spells I drew off my Tongue Twister.
Yeah, speaking of game 2, so that was game 2 was a very close game, I guess.
Yeah.
So actually, mulligan decisions was actually pretty interesting because, Purplemurasaki, actually both players had, for their 7 cards hand, they had hands that you can argue that you should be keeping, right?
Yeah, I had Rakiri Dissident, which is why I wanted to keep it, but I only had 1 land. So I mulled and I got another Dissident and more lands, so that was good.
Yeah. And Purplemurasaki, so
in my case, I had a decent hand and a decent number of matchups. The thing is that here, Grasp of Understanding is not a very good card to just cast.
Right, because burn.
Yeah. So going for a turn 3 or turn 4 Grasp of Understanding pass is not really where I want to be.
Yeah, unlike against control decks. So then later in the game, you tried to combo off. Was that turn 2?
Yeah.
Okay, and you almost got there too, right? If you drew slightly better from the Tongue Twister.
You were close. You were really close that second game.
I think I got a better chance of winning game 2 after the Tongue Twister than I did game 1 after the infuse, to be honest.
Really? So
interesting.
How did you feel anyway? Did you just not get any card draw off the Tongue Twister?
I do 5 lands and infuse Value Erasure.
Oh yeah, infuse
chances of mage.
Right. So yeah, and then for game 3, I guess game 3 was pretty close, but interesting thing about game
very back and forth.
Yeah, but the interesting about game,
tried to hold up the fire burst as long as possible.
It seems to have paid off for you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly when to fire it off at the artisan, but I think I picked the best time.
Yeah. You just want to kill it after the first thing they cast.
Yeah, because if you let that resolve, then I get to play another ritual and copy it with the Flatboat. So that gives me basically an additional 2 mana to work with.
And something
Game
else
3 is kind of
that's
how Game 3 was kind of how I expected the matchup to go, to be honest.
well, something that's interesting is that InfinityChef had Rage of the Ravage in hand for the whole game and never played it. And I think that actually was the right play there.
Proved to be the correct decision.
Just keep up Fire Burst for the whole game. And something else,
because you could like rest the Rage.
Yeah. Rage of the Ravage is like almost like a fake sideboard card, I feel like. Because really you can't put me down that low for like a turn 3 Rage of the Ravage. So if I'm going off turn 3, then I still have like 8 spell casts to find a rest or whatever.
Yeah.
Or actually, so what were your sideboard plans?
I just brought in the Fire Erasures.
Just 4 Fire Erasures, no Nature's Claim?
No.
Okay, yeah, that was I kind of suspected.
Like I can't really afford to. Like I'm just going to die to the creatures. So having a kind of slow plan doesn't really work in this matchup.
And InfinityChef, what did you bring in?
I brought in 3 Rages and cut 3 Unseizing Flames, which is kind of awkward because now I just realized that I have a one-off Unseizing Flame.
Right. That's actually pretty hilarious. But yeah. And actually, so for Game 3, something that I kind of mentioned during the commentary, at least from Purplesaki's play, was that during that critical turn where Purplemurasaki got their Flapple Artisan killed, I was thinking how Purplemurasaki could ritual and then play a land and then play a Flapple Artisan and have enough mana to play Level Studies and copy it in response to Flapple getting killed. But would that have worked out better than what play you made anyways?
So just let me think.
So like, yeah, this is what the board looked like at the beginning of the turn.
So what? And you lose the 1 mana off. Is that just +1 mana?
I think so. So if you did that play, then you would have 6 mana floating and 0 lands untapped, right? After that?
Something like that.
But
yes.
the play that you made gave you
so that's probably ends up being better, considering how much Fireburst was displayed there. Definitely messed up this turn, because even with my line, I realized afterwards that I should have played the land first, just in case I drew Scintillate off the Fireburst.
Right.
I don't think it ever ends up mattering. I guess it could. So I'm +1 mana, 5, 3, 1, 6, 2. Gee, am I +1?
Well, you would have used the land play when you had the land play remaining.
So 4 lands, Ritual, you have 5 mana, Flatboat, Lotus Studies, Flatboat Tail, 6 mana. Wait, I'm ending up on the same amount of mana.
Right, so I guess it didn't matter after all?
Oh no, sorry. The mana is coming from the Sizzle Mage I drew.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have known about that when you made that play, I guess.
Yeah, I think that always ends up better.
Right.
So I think I'm needing to draw incredibly hot to win after Fireburst. So I don't think it would ever matter.
Yeah.
Because I need to draw what exactly? I need to hit something like 3 Rituals, Tongue Twist or something.
Right. And one last question. So why did you use Fire Eraser on the Banished Companion instead of Enraptured Countess? Was there a reason for that? Wait, really?
Yeah. Because I'm at 9. There's
right. Fire Burst makes Enraptured Countess go up to 4/4. I forgot about the prowess. Yeah, okay, that's what I was missing.
Oh yeah, that you were just super dead if you hadn't done that. Oh, we both missed that in the commentary.
Yeah.
I think there's... Yeah, I don't think there's ever a line where I hold the Fire Burst.
Or Fire Eraser.
Yeah, sorry. Fire Eraser.
I mean, you were keeping it all game for any possible recurring distance, right? That's why you didn't use it earlier.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any point where I could play Fire Erasure that is better. I could actually have... No, I played Magmatic 1 tapped, so 10 running it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's mostly everything we wanted to talk about. So any last thoughts about the deck?
Well, as far as my own deck goes, I'm kind of curious if other people pick up something similar.
Well, didn't you say to not play this deck?
I mean, people can totally play this. It's just, as far as combo decks go in the format, it seems like most of them pretty straightforward, kind of. but they kind
Right.
of get to critical mass pretty quickly. Like Crazy Train as an example. Like once you get Hellbound speed going, it seems pretty straightforward. Maybe that's a bit obvious. There's stuff going on, but it seems like there's not, because you have so many pieces on the board already. It seems relatively easy to go off and find a winning position.
Right.
Infuse also, you just cast Infuse and you win. Is basically the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Because this is the first combo deck that I've seen that's like very much so, given how all your resources work, is much more challenging. Whereas you have stuff like turn 2 Lotus Studies, Hardcast, Tongue Twister as a line, which depending on the matchup and depending on your hand and depending on everything, could be awful or great. So I'd be curious if other people end up playing this. I would speak in general that this kind of core is very strong. Like Flatboat Autospin is a great card. Grasp Understanding being instant is insane in some matchups. Gives a whole nother layer to kind of combo decks where you can just pass until turn 4, end of turn Grasp, and you have so many resources to combo with.
Yeah, and that's something the old pre-nerf Rejuvenation deck took full advantage of.
Yeah, the old Rejuve deck, Rogue Rejuve, played both Grasp Understanding and Conjure Realities, so it clearly has some basis as combo core.
Yeah.
I think in terms of burn, it's just like burn. It's gonna burn.
Yeah.
It's a simple deck. Purple, I think your deck is really cool, but I'd be surprised if it like lives for very long. I know I thought it's like a format like design goal that stuff doesn't get turn 2 kills.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it's very, very unlikely for this deck to turn 2 kill. I think we're talking about like perfect 8 cards, kind of. Maybe there is a build that turn 2 kills more consistently, or maybe I'm just underestimating how good Flatboat plus 3 rituals is in terms of getting mana.
Flatboat is really cool though.
Yeah, because Flatboat plus 3 rituals plus Grasp probably does similar things to Infuse. Obviously more luck dependent,
including flipping Infuse.
Yeah, that's true. I think people were talking about Tongue Twister having Ward too. That's another thing that makes people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would like to ask on your burn shell, because you mentioned that it's just kind of standard burn, but people are actually doing a lot of cool things with burn, with like Rapacious Rattlers and like EHS. I think Flying Pinata was playing that. I was curious why you were kind of just playing kind of stock burn with like Enrapture counters being the only kind of new card.
Wait, so one of them is Rapacious Rattler?
Yeah.
I need to figure out that. That's like the ATV like Goblin Chain Whirl thing, right?
Yeah, ATV Off Lightning, 3-3, 3.
Okay, that seems expensive to me. I guess I could go in the sideboard over like what's it called? The
Confront the Riddle Master?
No, though I never actually the only sideboard cards I brought in was the Rakdos Hybrid Enchantment I brought in against you, which I forget the name of, which wasn't very good.
Rage of the Ravaged.
Rage of the Ravaged?
Yeah. And I brought in, I don't have my deck open right now, but the deal 2 to a creature and a player.
Fork
a
Pillar.
bunch.
Fork Pillar.
Yeah. So Router seems kind of expensive for the main deck. I'm trying to keep it really cheap. I used to play Rainy Night Lovers, but I cut that.
Right.
Just want to be like cheap and kill people. And then EHS, that's a lot of colors. I was trying to make the deck as like consistent and streamlined as possible. And also the plus and upside, I don't have to play like a painful mana base.
Yeah.
So I can afford to run a lot of the cards that deal damage to myself. I think I should probably cut the passive fire, the land, because it never came up and it's a lot of damage that could add up.
Right. And like notably, you're not playing Cult Cleaner, so you don't have to run the
I don't want to damage myself.
Base. Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of interesting because I think this GP there was like 3 burn decks. One of them was on Rattler, one was on EHS. I think last GP was interesting because I think there was like one on Rattler main deck, one on Raga main deck. Some decks playing Hugo, some not. Like I think Rattler's played Hugo.
I feel like Hugo wants a different shell than Burn. I don't know, I could be wrong.
I can't see where you're coming from.
I'm not sure if I've seen Hugo outside of Burn, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't played the format for a while, but last time I was seeing it was in like all sorts of like 5-color aggro shells and villainies shells, and that looked good.
I think
I guess it would be like losing Dissident hurts a lot.
Yeah, main board Dissident really really showed its worth when you're playing against combo.
Mm-hmm.
And even just like normal decks. It's a good body.
Yeah, it's half an
Rotter is
Eidolon.
interesting. But that's like a grindy card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they said that they would be switching to Raga. Oh, not sorry, Rattler. But I think they also had Rattler in sideboard of that deck, so kind of interesting.
Yeah, but I think your mono red deck or mono red burn deck is the purest, most streamlined version of burn that you can really find in this format, and I think it really paid off for you to at least run this deck in the GP. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I guess one major advantage is that you also probably have a good burn matchup.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, like, even not counting yourself, like this GP, like 3 burn decks of 24 players. So that's a very solid decision just on that front.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that's everything we wanted to talk about. So thanks for coming to the post-game interview.
Thank you. And thanks to the Games Purple.
Yeah, thanks for the games.
See you around.